honestly, like, it's weird, but coding totally changed my life. It did. I mean, I would never be in Sao Paulo right now. There's no way that I could have been doing this stuff. And so, I mean, I just, as much as I can tell people they should learn how to code, and as much as like I struggled and still did it, like I feel like everyone should learn the basics of coding.
Hello and welcome to the Learn to Code podcast here with 1 Month. This week on the show, I will be chatting with Meaghan Jones. Meaghan Jones is a support engineer at the company Hotjar. It's always been Meaghan's dream to work remotely. She's from California and really fell in love with Brazil and Latin America. She even studied Latin American politics. And when she got down there, she found it was hard to get a job. She taught English, kind of hard to get a job doing something that she felt was really worth her creative potential and, something that would get her excited. And so she went on this journey learning to code. She took 6 months, came back to Brazil and worked with the company Epicodus, and then started to applying for remote work down in Brazil. And so this is her story of what the program was like learning to code in 6 months. How much can you learn to code in 6 months? What's that like? What's it like applying for remote work? Some of the sites and tools that she used, and then her decision to come to 1 month and learn Python while on the job at Hotjar. So we're going to get into that and much more. I hope you enjoy my conversation here with Meaghan Jones. I imagine, a lot of students here at 1 month would love to be in the position that you're in. You have a job that's remote, you can travel. You have a lot of like technical responsibilities. And from what I've, from talking with you before this call, like you clearly are a self-learner, which I think is really interesting. So how do these skills, like what is going on in your day-to-day, job with customer support? Like maybe even like what is customer support at Hotjar like, and how are you supporting them? Like, let's pull that apart.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So basically, Hotjar is a pretty technical tool. We do website analytics. We have 7 tools that help people find issues on their website, or people can give them feedback, for example, surveys, heat maps, recordings. So our support team gets pretty technical. So that's one part. I can also help them with that maybe someone's having a problem with the way the JavaScript is working on their site, and I can help our team help our customers, basically. And then, but yeah, that's it. And then we have a lot of issues that pop up during the day. For example, just recently, we had an issue with Twitter. We get tweets, and some of the tweets were being not ignored. It was not at all ignored, but maybe missed for a day or something. And then so we set up a way that we can send all tweets to Slack, and that's all automated, so that we're a little more aware of what's going on all over the internet. So.
Oh, got it. I think so. The support engineers, they're working with the customers, and then you're supporting the support engineer.
So I'm supporting the support team. So they
Yeah,
come,
yeah.
maybe they have a problem, yeah, GTM, and that's a little more technical. They don't have experience with that part of our software. So then I can help them help the customer. So they kind of push up tickets to me to kind of delve deeper into and get the solution and work with the customer.
So day to day working on this, the Hotjar is a technical company, right?
It is, yeah.
So like day to day, do you feel like, do you need to know how to code? Do you need to know these skills to be on your team, or are you kind of like the maverick coder?
No, so on the support, so we have kind of tiering that we've done. So we have 3 tiers. So on the support team, they want people to have an interest in coding. So people who have taken online courses, or who maybe, I don't know, messed around with MySpace and the design of that when they were
Yeah.
younger. So it would just be, and then they want people to be interested in learning. So you have to be interested in learning CSS and HTML. And people get pretty into it at this tier 1 level. A lot of people know JavaScript already, or some Python. And then the level 2 would be kind of where I sit, and then that's more like no, the team knows how to code. They've done it in the past. Maybe some people have taken these computer science courses, and then tier 3, they're the software engineers that also work on internal tooling and creating things like that. So that's how our support team is broken out into the different tiers.
Yeah. When you applied to work at Hotjar, how did they assess, how much code you knew? Was there a test? Was it just part of the interview?
Yeah, so when I applied for the um, support engineer role, and so the first part was we had to answer some customer questions. It was like a time test, and then the second part was we had to create a tool. So we have an internal debugging tool that helps us like, do they have our script on the site, these sorts of things. And I had to take that tool and build on it and create an extra functionality for it.
How much time do you have to do that?
They give you, I think it's a 2 week process because they assume that you have other responsibilities. A lot of people have full time jobs. I wasn't working at the time. I had just graduated from code school, so I think I took like 2 days and some research, and then built the extra functionality for the tool.
So you did all right.
I did. Yeah, I got the job, so I think I
Yeah.
passed.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
And so take me back to how you started down this journey learning to code, because we were talking and, you weren't a computer science major. You studied, what was it? Latin American politics.
Yeah.
Tell, tell me about that.
How far do you want me to go? So I had this extreme interest. Like when people said, "What do you want to do?" I thought I like to help people. I mean, I thought international aid, I don't know, but I really wanted to live in Latin America. And so when I got into school, I went to UC Berkeley. They had this program. It was called the Latin American Studies, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. So it ended up being a lot like Latin American politics. And I graduated, and then I got my master's in the same thing at a school in Switzerland. And
Hmm.
I thought, okay, this is it. But when I graduated, I moved to Latin America, and I just couldn't find something that I liked that suited me. And everything was very vague. And I like bullet points and rules, and knowing what it is that I could do. And I just never really found it. So I taught English, and I loved it. It was amazing, but I felt at one point I plateaued. And so my sister told me that I should work in tech, and I was like, great. And so I went around to tech companies in Portland, and they were like, you've never showed interest in tech. Like, we don't even think that, and I didn't want to be a secretary at that point in my life because I had some work experience, and and so I went to this conference for women in tech, even though I wasn't in tech yet. And
What was it
I
called?
heard, man, I can't remember. It's in Portland. Yeah, I don't remember, but it was good. It was just women getting together talking about tech, and yeah, basically a lot of it was how to get into it and how and things like that. And I heard a talk about a code school, and I was like, okay, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm gonna redirect my life. I maybe I'm not gonna be a developer, but even so, I want to prove to these companies that I actually do want to move my whole entire career in this direction.
Had you found, that's amazing. Had you found up to that point that not knowing how to code was a detriment to applying to certain jobs? Like why did why was technical a thing all of a sudden? Just because it was like a sexy thing to do? Like, as far as like, I meant like sorry, to be clear, like I meant like on a resume, it sticks out. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it looks good on a resume, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't have experience. There were ways that I could have gone about it, maybe like sales and things like that, CSMs, customer success manager, but I had never done anything like that. And when I was talking to these people, they were just like, "Well, why? Wait, what are you doing? Like you have experience in teaching, maybe, go be a
Hmm.
teacher." And I was like, "I don't want to be." So I couldn't really see any other way of understanding like maybe tech speak or showing this interest, and that just seemed like the right way to do it at the time for me.
Got it.
So,
So you're in Portland and
mm-hmm.
you're at this women's coding conference.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm curious, like, was it inspiring to be, what about this conference was inspiring? It sounds like there was something happening there that opened your eyes.
Oh yeah, there was actually I went to one there was a speaker, and she worked at the code school that I went to, and they were kind of telling like how it worked and then success stories, and I was like, wait a minute, the people that they were describing who go are very non-traditional people to get into tech. So there was a lot of they were recruiting a lot of women, people who didn't have computer science degrees, just all kinds of, and they would say, okay, then this person did this. They went on and
Mm.
did DevOps, and I was like, okay, well, I
Cool.
like to learn. I can do it. So,
Oh, that's cool. So it sounds like you saw some examples of people and you were like,
mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
I could do
yeah,
that. Cool. I like that.
yeah.
How did you how did you decide what program to choose? Was it just because you met someone who had been through? Because I know you did a 6 month boot camp, right? Is that kind of where this
Did.
started in your life? Tell me about
Yeah,
that.
no, I didn't do anything. They recommend doing some prep work, and I kind of tried, but I just, yeah, I did some research online, and I didn't see anything negative. My sister had a friend that had gone through the program, and all the stories I heard were just like my life changed, and I
Aw,
just, yeah,
yeah.
like, and I tell the same story, so it's definitely an
Great.
effective way. So
All right,
of
well
learning.
tell me.
Yeah.
I wanna know. What was the name of the boot camp that you did?
It was called Epicodus, and
Nice.
it's about 5 6 months full time, so 40 hours a week of in person coding, and then at the end they place you in a 5 week internship where you
No.
work on different types of development teams.
Oh, great, great. What was the first day there like for you?
Like, it was very scary because I was like, what am I doing? I didn't ever have any interest in this sort of stuff, not because I think I would have loved it as a kid, for example, but I was introduced to, guess, programming through my dad, but he tried to do it through games, and I hate games. And so I was like, I never liked it, and I thought it was something that just wasn't for me. And so the first day, a lot of people have learned in school, for example. My school didn't offer that kind of stuff. I had never been introduced in any way. I did not know what HTML was. I did not know what CSS was. I did not know what JavaScript was. And so the first day I didn't cry, but I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. This is awful. This is horrible. It's like learning a new language that I can't even, I can't read. I don't understand. So it was pretty
Yeah.
terrible. It was horrible.
Do you think were there other people in the room that felt that way too, or did it seem like everybody else was just super like or like
No, knowing
intimidating?
now, yeah, knowing now what like I know and talking to people felt like that, but it seemed at the time that either you knew it or you didn't. And I felt like I was in the one person that just never had experience with coding before. And that's absolutely not true. And in the end, I ended up not struggling. I mean, of course, you struggle a little bit, but I didn't, I could always find a solution. So in the end, it all turned out okay.
Nice. How many
Yeah.
people were in the class with you, the boot camp?
Honestly, I can't remember. I want to say 50. I don't
Oh,
remember now.
wow.
Yeah, it's a
That's pretty
huge
big. Yeah.
classroom. Yeah, it's a huge classroom and open space, and they have two, so your level and then the level above you. So they've already gone through the class that you've been before. We all just do pair coding the whole
Mhm.
time, and uh,
So two people just
amazing.
like at one computer
Yeah.
is what that is. Yeah.
hmm
And is there a one teacher or is it online resources? How are you learning?
It's mixed. So they have an online course that you kind of go through. So they say today you do, maybe it's like 5 modules, and you go through with your partner and you work together. So, and then there's a teacher there that's in charge of your class and your group, and they walk around and they have a system of asking questions. So you're supported 100% in that way.
Nice.
hmm
What was the best part of this boot camp learning experience for you? Like, was there one moment maybe, or like one thing that you are just like really proud of?
Just getting through. I think I really so the first 5 weeks it's set up into 5 week kind of courses, I guess you could call it. So the first 5 weeks was HTML and JavaScript, and I struggled a lot because you learn the basics, so you learn a lot of the logic, and being introduced to it for the first time, it can be. It's almost overwhelming, and especially, so I hired tutors, and I don't think anyone else did that, but I was like, I'm getting through this. And so at the end of that, we finish, you always have like a final test sort of thing at the end of every week
Mm,
and every module. And then the next week starting, all of a sudden I realized, so we started a new module, and I realized, oh, it's all the same thing. Like, once you learn the basics, you're just building on those basics. It's all
yeah.
if else and or, these statements. That's just basic logic that I understand. So I think
Because
that was like that.
you could speak the language at that point, right? So
Hmm.
then
Yeah.
you're just like, yeah, maybe it's like you know the ABCs, and then now you're like, oh, I can just read books. Yeah,
Yep.
that's really
Yeah, it
cool.
was an aha moment, and yeah, it was amazing. And from the 4 weeks left that I had, or sorry, it was 4 months after that that I had. It was just like, yeah, no, I can learn. I can find anything on the internet now. Like, there's no stress in learning. It's just fun. I can build things now. So
Yeah. What percentage of coding do you think is Googling?
all of it. No, I don't know. No, not true. Yeah, that's a good question. Percentage, I'm not sure, but I there's very little that I actually memorize, and so maybe, yeah, if I'm struggling with something, I feel like, yeah, I Google all day, basically. I mean, the
Yeah.
basics, HTML, I got now, and things that I repeat every day. We have some code that I just do every day, but there's a lot that, yeah, I'm constantly getting errors, in the console or something. I have no idea what it means. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's something that I see students here at 1 month will struggle with, where you get
mhm.
your first error and it's really intimidating, and sometimes you feel like, oh, this isn't for me. So I think I love to hear that. That I mean, I agree too. I usually say 70% of coding is googling. This is a random percentage that I made up. But yeah, I think it's good to hear. Like probably like, oh, that's I think like that's such a normal part of this process.
Hmm.
So yeah, I I heard you say in there that you hired a mentor, what or a tutor. What was that? How did you hire a mentor?
I did not. There was a JavaScript, so we had these tests at the end, and we had to make a pizza ordering JavaScript, web page, and you could add ingredients, and then it would tell you the price of it. I think was it, and I did not get it. I did not understand what a function did. I didn't know what that meant. And so there were some online tutoring services that I found, and you just basically came to that tutor and said, I don't know, what they're there for. I don't think it's for my specific use case, but I just took this JavaScript function that I had made and was like, why doesn't it work? And they sat there with me and they went, extra help through this problem that
Oh,
I was struggling with.
did Epicodus offer you a tutor? Is that how you met this tutor?
No, no, I
Oh,
was like, tutoring's helped me in the past. I
but
can,
how do you find it? Like, I'm just imagining people listening might be like, I want to hire a tutor right now. Like, how do you hire a tutor?
yeah, the company I used is called Wisant, and they have just all kinds of tutors. I think it's anything you want, basically math, languages,
Ah, okay.
JavaScript, Python.
How
So
do
you
you
just
spell
choose.
that? Why Sant?
I think it's Wisant. I haven't used it in a while, but I believe it's Wyzant. Maybe a double T there.
Okay, cool. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so you graduate from Epicodus, and then you get placed in this internship.
Mhm.
Is that with Hotjar, or how do you go from this internship to getting this job at Hotjar right now?
Yeah, so I worked at a local web development company that they put me in. And then I finished and I enjoyed it. It was good. It was that we worked on a Ruby on Rails project, or I think, no, it had a back end of Ruby and then the front end was Ionic, I think. And so we worked on it. I loved it. It ended. Then I decided to start just applying for jobs. I knew I wanted to come back to Sao Paulo, so I thought, well, remote could work. So I was only applying for remote jobs because I couldn't decide where in the U.S. that I wanted to live yet. So
Were there a lot of remote jobs? Where did
so
you go
many.
to? Where do you look for jobs?
WeWorkRemotely.com is one of them. That's actually, there's a couple that are very similar to that one, but I find that one to be the most comprehensive that I've
Cool,
seen. So.
cool, good tip.
Yeah, and I just started applying to anything that I felt confident. So it was a lot of junior development in Ruby and Ruby on Rails, JavaScript. And then there was one job opening for a women's coding camp to teach Ruby and Ruby on Rails. I tried that. I tried to get that one. And then a couple customer experience roles, so like CSMs and support, just because I thought, well, I have this base knowledge. I think that might, look good for those kinds of roles. And then at Hotjar, I applied for, I think it was a customer support role, and they were like, well, with your background in coding, we'd like you to, be more technical and help a little more with the more technical support. And it was so
Cool.
easy. It was like 2 months. I mean, people say you need to do 100 CVs and resumes and send in. I sent in like 10, and I got a response from a lot of them. And so it was, yeah, it was just crazy that I didn't expect that to happen. I thought I'd be 6 months looking for a job.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it was like, yes, it was amazing. Yes.
And now you live in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yes.
And is there a WeWork down there? Like, how did you?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked at WeWorks. Right now, I'm in something called Google Campus, which is a free space to work,
Oh,
basically for anyone. You just have to sign up, and so I go to different co-workings. I like to move around the city, so I'm
is it?
remote, but I have to leave my house, so it's weird. So I still commute. Some people try to avoid
Uh,
that, but I'm commuting to random spots around the city.
cool. Is it easy for an American, like, because you're from, you said California originally, or
Yeah.
is it easy for an American to work in Brazil? Do you need a visa? Can you just show up, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I'm on like you're here on a tourist visa, so you can't really stay here, and it's not anything permanent for in that way. But yeah,
Is it like 6 months
there's
or something? Or?
yeah, so you can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
here 6 months, and then I travel a lot for work. We have two meetups a year in Europe, so they bring us all together, and then I also go home to the U.S. a lot. So I would say I'm yeah based just in a lot of different places at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. And now you're learning Python.
I am, yeah, with 1 month actually.
How's it going? Or how did you end up deciding that you should learn some Python? How did that happen?
Yeah, I've been doing some automation work at our company. So, and I do a lot of things with Zapier and webhooks, but my lead, we were talking, he had taken a course with another team. They had taken the 1 month Python course because they're going to be building some internal tools with Python, and a lot of our code base is in Python as well. And so they loved it. They did the 4 weeks, they did it together as a group, and then they especially liked yeah, just the way it worked and everything. And so I was like,
Cool.
okay, I'll do it too. I want to be able to automate things using Python, and so here I am.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
cool. How is
Mhm.
Python going so far? What do you like about it?
Yeah, I was surprised how, because I haven't really, other than reading our code base, I haven't ever written any Python, and so I was surprised again, like how all of these languages that I've learned, like JavaScript and Ruby and all these things, they're very similar. So I got the logic down, and I was just, yeah, like using that logic to kind of work through these problems and translating it into Python, basically. So I say like, how do you do if else statements in Python? And then that comes up, and I'm like, okay, that's good.
Nice,
So
nice.
it's been fun actually.
This is great. I have just a few quick questions before we wrap up.
Okay.
What language would you recommend someone who is listening, who is totally new and thinking, I'm interested in learning the code, but maybe they just want to, like dip their foot or just kind of like start off? Like where would you start?
I think the way that I started ended up working really well for me. So just getting into the HTML, CSS, just kind of because you're learning how those words end up doing something on the
Mm-hmm.
page, and then it's JavaScript, because you can do a lot of cool things just with simple websites once you learn. Not a lot of JavaScript, not a lot of HTML, not a lot of CSS. You can start doing pretty cool things. So I think that's where I would start if I started again. I think I would do it all the same, just like that.
Cool. Meaghan, hey, it was so great to chat with you today. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
It's fun for me too.
thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
That was another episode of the Learn to Code podcast here at 1 month. If you enjoyed the show, let us know. You can leave a rating or something nice on iTunes. We are on Spotify and YouTube as well. You can subscribe. It's free. We'll have a new episode every week, so check that out. If you're looking to learn to code and you want the best first month of that experience, that's what we do here at 1 Month. We know that there's a lot of options out there, and so we try to make it as easy for you. We have human support that we can help answer your questions before you get started, while you're taking the course, all of that, really just to help you feel excited about learning to code and because you can do it. That's what we're here for. So we have courses in HTML, Python, JavaScript, Ruby, everything's out there. Just let us know. You can go to onemonth.com, or you can even email us at teachers@onemonth.com if you have any questions. Best of luck on your journey, and I will see you here on the podcast next week. Take care.